What's up, everybody? It is CJ. Thank you so much for visiting my channel. While you're here, just go ahead and make sure you tap that subscribe button over there. Also, like this video and make sure to comment as well. We can go ahead and get it cracking in the comment section. We can talk about some things or whatnot. And also make sure to share this video. Share with a friend, and maybe they'll share with a friend, because y'all know we just all want to be friends, right? All right, so today we are here to talk about Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. And they didn't have an episode last week, so we got a really good one this week. And this was episode 6, and I think they called it Level Up. Now, lines were definitely drawn in the sand on this episode. We've kind of seen where Rock and Unique's relationship has kind of gotten rocky, so to speak, but it's always kind of been, okay, well, you do your thing over here, I'm gonna do my thing over here, and we just gonna try and stay out of each other's way. But as we all know, eventually, somebody has to overtake the other person, and I think now we're finally getting into that part of their relationship, so we'll go ahead and talk about it. Now, the episode opens up, Rock is at the little, I guess the high rise or the public housing building where she has bought those two, I guess, apartment buildings from the superintendent. She's got the one right above one another. And so she's going to kind of check on the process. She's trying to catch the elevator, and the little old lady comes out of the stairwell and lets her know that the elevator doesn't work. And she's like, okay, well, I've been here, 5 days this week, and I keep forgetting. And so she walks up the stairs. We see her going up the stairs in her heels, and she meets like the frantic superintendent in the hall, and he's like, man, I told you that the inspector wasn't gonna go for this. He's scared because he feels like his job could be on the line. And so when she gets inside, the inspector is in there, and he's just kind of, puffing his chest out, letting her know that he's the HNIC, and what she's doing is, illegal, and she could get sent to housing court where she will be faced with fines and all this other hoopla. And so he's asking her, why are you even trying to bust a hole in the floor? And so she tells him, well, I'm a cook, and I was having a new stove brought in, and so I was just kind of doing a few upgrades to the apartment. And so he tells her, you can't put a hole in a wall or anything, a paint on the wall or whatever he was saying, without coming through me. So he was just kind of, like I said, letting her know he's in charge. And so Rock tries to charm him, and she's like, okay, well, what do I got to do to make this right? And he immediately goes into creep mode. She lets him know she's a single mom, just trying to, live with her son and all of this. And so he just gets really creepy and basically is telling her that he wants to meet with her alone so they can discuss what she can do to make this right. And he keeps stressing alone, and he tells her he wants to meet tonight at 8 o'clock or whatever. And so we see this look in Rock's eye that, she's going to come, but she's going to come with some shit behind her. So we'll see what goes on. And so next we see Kanan and Famous. Famous and Kanan are out in the streets posting flyers for the showcase that's getting ready to happen, that is featuring Famous and Jukebox. So they're out there, trying to let people know that the showcase is going down. So next we see Papa Detective, and he's out, and he kind of rolls up on the doctor and startles her, for one, because she wasn't expecting him. And then he's asking her, now that he knows that Kanan is his son, he wants to know if Kanan's bone marrow would be enough to possibly save his life. And she asks him, well, I thought you said you didn't have a kid. And so he's like, well, this is just hypothetical. What if I did have a child? And so she's like, well, how old is this hypothetical child? And he's like, 15. She tells him, well, that's he would be a half match, or the child would be a half match, but it would definitely increase your chances of living, and we will also need consent from the child's parent. So when we found out that Kanan was Papa Detective's son, we knew that the wheels were probably going to start grinding or turning in his head, and he was trying to figure out how this boy could possibly save his life. So we'll see if that does happen in the future. So then we go on and we see Lou. Him and his girl are at the venue because everything is getting pulled together for the showcase. We see them, like the lighting people, the sound people, everybody's there. And what we also see is everybody's got their hand out. Everybody wants money. And Lou is the man in charge. So Lou is the man with the money. And so he's dishing out money left and right. Crown ain't got a dime to his name. Crown is just there as the producer. And he got money to buy product, but he ain't got money to pay all these people around him. And that's probably why he don't have money to pay the people. But that's a whole different story for a different day. And Rock comes in, and Rock's got a problem immediately because she's like, Lou, this is where all of our money is going. And he's like, first of all, this is my money. And she was like, yeah, well, your money is my money. And, you paying all the bills around this mother, And so he is basically just wanting her to mind her business. And she is like, okay, whatever, this your deal. But she was just kind of letting him know that she didn't like the way he was dishing out money. So she was like, I guess I'll go and make more money for you to come and spend, with your little showcase or whatnot. And so she leaves. But Lou, he then goes, oh, I forgot to mention, let me mention, she asks him, did he get the okay for them to move product at this showcase? Lou wasn't trying to move product. He was like, this is going to be a clean showcase. This is strictly about the music. I'm not trying to bring that into, this event. And Rock was like, no, every event is an opportunity for us to move product. You know this. And so he isn't trying to do it. So I don't know if this is like a turning point where we're trying to see Lou like go legit. We know he's loyal to his sister. That's, that goes without saying. But at the same time, he has his girl in his ear, and she's telling him how great he is and how she feels like he can, do a lot in this music game. And I don't know if she's just telling him that because she wants to get her brother on, and she knows that Lou's pockets are deep enough to help make that happen. We just don't know. But anyway, he goes to see Unique. Unique is at the tailor shop, and Unique is kind of like, well, ain't this about a bitch? I never thought I'd see the day you'd be coming in here to see me. We not shooting at one another. It's on some peaceful type stuff. So, what brings you here? And he's just letting them know, look, about the showcase I'm having tonight. I don't want any problems, basically. And if you can do that for me, it'll be like me owing you a favor. So Unique tells him he likes the idea of him owing him a favor. So he tells him that, everything will be on some peaceful stuff, and that his sister could really use somebody like him, level-headed, around her because, it's getting real serious out here in these streets or whatever. And so Lou leaves thinking that, okay, everything's going to be good. And when he leaves, we see his guy come out along with Scrap, who was Rock's guy, who switched sides, the episode ago or whatever. And so they're kind of wanting to know, okay, well, what are we really going to do at this showcase? Because I know we not going to be on no peaceful stuff. And so Unique was like, yeah, they think they can kill my dudes and think that everything is just supposed to be sweet. He was like, nah, y'all two, he called Scrap a turncoat. he said, y'all are going to go in there and y'all are going to light that mother F up. So we knew that it wasn't just going to be peaches and cream. So then we see Marv. And Marv, he goes, to the drop spot where they're supposed to receive the drop. And the dudes are just kind of standing there like nobody ever showed up. So they didn't get their drop. And so now Marv is like, this ain't good. I got to get with Rock and let her know what's up. But we go over to the house where Rock and Kanan are, and she's, lining Kanan up, cutting his hair, and she just kind of wants to know how he's enjoying Symphony's class. And he tells her, it's nice. I'm learning a lot. He was like, he is, he's very smart. He a real straightforward guy, and he's teaching us like real stuff or whatever. And so she also asked him, why didn't you tell me that you got picked up by the cops the other day? So he was like, I handled it, it wasn't a big deal. And she was like, no, it was a big deal and you should have told me. And he was like, well, how do you know? And she was like, Scrap told me. And so he was like, damn, so he always tries to keep stuff from his mom, but his mom is always one step ahead of him. And I don't think he has realized that yet, and probably won't ever realize that. I mean, she calls him out on every single thing that he tries to do behind her back. And Kanan just will not register to him that he needs to be upfront and honest with his mom. But so she wants to know, okay, well, who got you out? Who came and got you? Because it wasn't me, and from what Scrap said, it was, a man he never saw before. And so he just lets her know, yeah, it was Symphony. And I begged him not to tell you. And so she's pissed at this point because now she feels like Symphony is keeping stuff from her also. And he's getting involved with her child in ways that she has never asked him to do. So all she wanted him to do was teach him at this class, not be bailing him out of jail or going to pick him up or being, a stepdad to him, because that's not what she need him for. So next we see Jukebox. She's at home sulking. You can tell she's still upset about what happened with her and Nicole's parents. So she's at home watching some old Bruce Willis movie. And she gets a surprise visit from Nicole. Nicole shows up and she's just thrilled to have her there. So now we got the family together, Rock, Lou, and Marv. They're meeting because Marv, told Rock that we didn't get a supply. The supplier just basically ghosted us. And so now they're weighing their options. They're trying to figure out, they're like, we can't stretch the product that we have any more than what we have already done. We already know the stash house got hit. We lost half of our product there. And now, we at the point where we don't have any product and we need to get some. So she's telling them to reach out to some other people, buy them out so we can get what we need to get by until I can get with our supplier and figure out what's going on. And I never remember his name. So I'm sorry, y'all. But anyway, she goes to see the supplier. And we remember, he likes to spend time with grandma at the bingo hall. And so he's there spending quality time with grandma, and Rock shows up. Rock wants to know, hey, why didn't I get my drop? And he basically tells her, she wanted to know first where was Smurf. And Smurf was the guy who gave her information on where Neek's drop was going down, where she sent, the cops to kind of dismantle or whatever. But she asked where Smurf is. He tells her, Smurf is no longer doing business with him. Basically, he done killed Smurf because he figured out that Smurf snitched to her and he couldn't trust him, so he had to cut him off, literally. So Smurf ain't here no more. Smurf gone. And he also tells her that, Neek offered to buy not only his supply, but her supply as well, plus 20%. So that was kind of an offer he couldn't refuse. And that was perfectly fine with him because at this point, he can't trust Rock, no way. So they are done. He basically tells her, you know, we finished and we done with this conversation. And so grandma yells out bingo, you know, grandma done got her a little cash. And so Rock gets up and walks away. I mean, there ain't nothing else to talk about. So next we see Rock. Now she is trying to figure out, okay, I need a new supplier. So I gotta see who knows who knows what. I gotta, you know, get somebody else to help me. So she goes to the bodega and she sees the woman who, the wife of the guy, and she's beat up even more. Like she's got like a black eye, her nose is messed up, her lip is messed up. And so she could tell immediately by the way Rock was looking at her like, damn, you know, and she was like, I fell. And she was like, yeah, you're falling, you know, you fell into his fist or something like that. But we knew he was whooping her ass because we saw every time we see her, she's got some kind of mark on her from him. And Rock tells her, you know, I know who your cousin is. I need you to get me a conversation with him. I need you to connect me with him. And she's just basically like, you know, I don't know if I can do that. She was like, that's your family. Yes, you can. You can get it. You make it happen, you know. So what, you know, your husband wants you to shut up and be quiet. She was like, that's the problem now. Men just expect for us to be quiet and all this other stuff. So I think that she's going to get her in contact with her cousin and he may become her new supplier. I'm not sure. We'll see later on. So we see the lady detective who is Howard's partner, and I'll call him, you know, Papa Detective because we know that he's Kanan's dad. She goes and she's kind of like scoping out the scene and she sees Jukebox and Nicole. They're all hugging up at the bus stop because Nicole is getting ready to go back on her side of town. So she kind of rolls up on Jukebox afterwards, trying to make this connection. I guess she wants to approach this a different way. She's trying to get information on D-Wiz's murder, but she's going to try to get information out of Jukebox. And I guess she's going to try and use the fact that she's a lesbian too to connect with Jukebox. And it's not really working at this point because Jukebox basically just paid her dust and walked away. So then we see Kanan and Rock. They kind of share a moment because they're getting ready for the showcase. And we see Kanan, he has on his sweater with the little Oxford underneath. And he's trying to put a tie on. And Rock is like, well, I don't know how to, you know, tie this. You know, it's moments like this, you know, does it make you kind of wish that we had a man around? And so he was like, no, not really, you know. I'm fine with you, you know, you've been holding it down. I'm fine with the way things are or whatever. And so that kind of comforts her to know that Kanan is not longing for a father that he didn't have growing up. And so then we see it's the night of the showcase. Everybody is always looking like, you know, they're filling up the club. You know, there's a lot of people there. And Jukebox's nerves are bad right now. I mean, she is nauseous, like she's nervous. Nicole comes back there with the drink. Excuse that. Nicole comes back there with a drink and she's trying to calm her down. Famous is coming back there, you know, he's feeling some kind of way because he's like, you know, she better not mess up my performance. You know, this is like a once in a lifetime deal. She better not mess it up and all this other stuff. And so Nicole, he is like, and who are you or whatever? And so she was like, I'm Nicole. And he was like, I'm famous. You know, that's short for famous Puerto Rican or something, Puerto Rican famous or something. I don't know what he said, but he was trying to push up on her. And Jukebox was like, you could tell like she was in her feelings about it. And so she kind of tells him like, you know, you worried about the wrong stuff right now. You in here trying to push up on her and we about to perform. and we haven't rehearsed or anything, and you sitting up here like everything is all good. And so he was like, all you doing is singing the hook. It ain't no big deal. Just relax. So she goes in the bathroom to throw up, and so they freaking out because they like, man, Jukebox, you know, he can't do the performance without her. I mean, she's the hook. So next thing we see Rock. And Rock is 8 o'clock. She's going to meet with the inspector. He's sitting in there in his chair, and she comes in with her little tight fitting dress on. And she comes in, and we see she's got like cash and a gun in her purse. She doesn't know what's going to go down, but she's prepared either way. She's got option A with her and option B with her. Whichever one he going to take is the one he going to take. So she comes in, he's sitting down, and he's like, so I asked around about you, and I found out you some kind of drug dealer or something. And so she's like, okay, you know, and so she pulls out the money, and she hands it to him, and she's like, you know, what, you know, let's make this go away. So she's telling him basically she's trying to, you know, pay him off to forget about it, and he's not having it. He not only wants the money, but he wants the honey as well. So he grabs her leg, and, you know, she pushes him off of her like, you know, nah, that ain't what this is about. And so he gets up and like starts like choking her, like trying to beat her up. And so she sticks her thumb into his eye, and once she does that, he like knocks her down. So she fell, and she fell right by a hammer, and got up and whacked his ass in the head with the hammer. So he at this point is out. He's down. I thought he was dead, but he's not dead, because when Marv comes in, he's tied up. She tied him up, and she tells Marv to basically, you know, make this nigga feel it on the way out, you know, get rid of him. So Marv puts him in the wall, shoots him right in the forehead with a nail gun, and then seals the wall up. So the inspector is gone with his creepy ass. He is out of here. And so now she's on her way to the showcase. She gets to the showcase. She's at the bar trying to buy a drink. Symphony rolls up. He trying to pay for the drink. She ain't got nothing to say to Symphony. As a matter of fact, she is pissed because Symphony went behind her back, did something, you know, with her son. Like she said, she didn't need him to be, she'll need him to be the father. She just needed him to F her like he been doing and teaching him at the school. So she dumped him, and she was done with Symphony after that. So then we see Nicole and Jennifer. Is the sister named Jennifer, famous sister? Well, anyway, we see her. They're sitting up in VIP or whatever at the showcase, and some guys are trying to push up on them, and they, you know, shoot them away or whatnot. And so Crown comes up, and Crown has like this, like, laced blunt or whatever. He mixing crack in it and everything. And so he offers it to Jennifer, and she was like, no, I'm straight. And so then he offers it to Nicole, and Nicole like partakes, like she was smoking it. So I'm like, is she about to be on crack now or what? You know, I'm trying to figure out what's about to go on with her. And so we then see Neek's guy and Scrappy. They're trying to figure out a way to get in. They know they can't go in through the front door, so they go around back, break a window, and they get in. So they're in, and Scrappy's asking him like, hey, who are we hitting? You know, you ain't told me nothing. We just like going in here, and you ain't told me a word. And so the party is happening, you know, people are performing, the crowd is into it, everybody's having a good time. And now it's time for Famous and Jukebox performance. So Famous is freaking out now. I forgot to mention that Kanan had like a pep talk with Jukebox, and so she was feeling much better, and she was able to go out there and perform. But now the tables kind of turned, because Famous is tripping now. He is like worried. He gets out there with the crowd. He's like a deer caught in headlights. And it's Jukebox who gets the crowd hype. You know, she's talking to the crowd, getting them, you know, ready. And so they start performing, and the performance is going great. And we see Kanan, you know, he's into the performance, and then he starts listening to Famous's lyrics a little bit, and he has this thought, and he's like, you know, this is funny how rappers rap about stuff that, you know, they've never done. And which we know, like, Famous has a lot of mouth, but Famous hadn't put in any kind of action at a single point this entire series. So we know he just talks, and that's all he's about. So then we see Neek's guy and Scrap. They kind of scoping out the scene, and we find out from the dude that Lou is the target. And so Scrap's like, okay, I got to figure out how this cannot happen. And so we see they make eye contact at one point, and Scrap kind of does like this with his nose. I guess he kind of lets him know that, hey, dude is out to get you. So Lou creates a distraction. He hollers out something and punches the dude, and it just kind of causes like this melee, and everybody starts fighting. And so they have to get out because we know the police is probably going to show up soon. And so when they get to the back, the dude tells Scrap, he got the gun pointed at his head. He like, turn around. He was like, we knew you know, was a snitching ass, you know, and we can't have that or whatever. So we also see this weird sequence afterwards of like sex scenes. We see, Kanan goes over to Davita's house, and he gets some from her. She luckily pulled out a condom. They practicing safe sex. And then we see Lou and Jen in the limo. I guess she about to give him some because his fighting turned her on. So they doing it. And so afterwards, Kanan comes in. You know, he's all excited. He just got him some. He's sneaking in the house. And we saw Rock was in the bed asleep. And when he got into his room, they hear like this loud like door slam or bam, and then some dudes was screaming something outside. So they both jump up. Rock grabbed the gun. They run outside, and they dumped a really beat up or possibly dead Scrap at the doorstep. And she was just kind of looking like, damn. And so this has really freaked Kanan out. Kanan had this look of like horror on his face. And so that is how this episode ended. So now we know, okay, Neek is pissed because Rock has tried to infiltrate, you know, his camp or what he got going on, his organization, by planting, you know, a mole or a snitch or whatever. So now we know he's not happy about that, and somebody's going to have to pay for this. So we're going to see how their, you know, war begins, because now we know, okay, we're officially at war at this point. Really, really good season. I am loving it. If I left out anything, this is a long review, so I'm sure I didn't leave anything out, but I'm known for leaving out a whole lot of stuff. So if I left anything out, or if it was anything that you found kind of profound that you want to talk about, go ahead and drop it in the comments below. I will see you all for Housewives of Potomac tonight, for those of you that watch, and everybody else. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I will see y'all next weekend. Peace.